Hi everybody, welcome to a video from the Cromford Canal, the Cromford Wharf just back there. We want to tell you the story of this canal today because it has some weird and wonderful and unique engineering feats, largely born out of the geography and the landscape here along its 14.5 mile route.
And this little video is sponsored by the wonderful people at Readley.
I haven't read the gags yet.
Oh, will it involve a banana?
So before we get to the good stuff, we've just appeared at Peak Junction. Now Peak Junction is the start of the Peak and Cromford Railway. We'll just have a quick scout in there though, because this is the bottom of the incline before we carry on going down the canal and show you some of the wonderful quirky bits. So Rebecca, why didn't we come here when we made the video about Cromford and Peak Railway?
Because we were warned that you shouldn't go down there in a full moon.
Very good point. We started our bike ride at the top of this hill. This is the top of the Middleton top, or the incline before that.
Penny goes, oh, you don't want to be going down there at a full moon. So we thought, well, okay.
We're just going to walk under the road here, and we're going to walk to where the sort of escape hatch was. So if a train came down here out of control, then they had the points they could divert it into the middle and it would crash safely without hurting anyone at the bottom of the incline. So as I say, anything coming down the incline which had sort of broken from its release at the top, they would have been able to change the points and send it into this hole ahead of us. And there is still a truck there which looks like it's from perhaps the last accident that occurred here, because it's still there, smashed to bits, isn't it? Look at that.
It is.
People are going to be raging right now, Rebecca.
What?
Well, we saw this as a canal video.
Yeah, we've accidentally done railways.
Yeah.
Oh well, 2 for 1.
Yeah, right, back down 36 years ago, previous to the railway, to the Cromford Canal. So when you look at the geography and the landscape around here, as we mentioned, it's incredibly imposing. So to try and build a canal through here had to take an enormous effort. Now that's why Joseph Outram, his son Benjamin, called upon William Jessup for a helping hand. So that looks like Lee Wood Pumping House, another sort of wharf area just over there, and that could possibly mean that we're just about to come up to Lee Wood Aqueduct. Do you reckon I've got all that right, Rebecca?
That sounded about right.
So in order to get this area in the industry, the growing industry of this area in the late 1700s, connected to the canal network, they had to go via the Erewash Canal. Now there's a massive resistance to that. And to get things going, as we said, William Jessup and Joseph Outram and his son Benjamin decided to build the canal themselves and just get on with it themselves. Yeah, and here is the aqueduct. Very beautiful. Can I have some of your melons?
You mean these?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh.
Because this is the Readley section, our sponsors for today.
Now for the regular viewer of this channel, you'll know that we've already talked about Readley, and that's for good reason. It's an app we keep coming back to.
And currently we're filming 3 videos in Derbyshire.
So instead of buying a whole bunch of magazines when we're here, or worse still, packing a suitcase full of them, we can look on our tablet or our phones using the Readley app,
which is an online subscription service.
Magazines are so expensive these days, so imagine just paying one fixed price per month and having thousands of titles at your fingertips, including the back catalogues.
For just $7.99 per month.
So sat at home, I've got a 7-foot by 4-foot baseboard ready for a model railway layout.
Which you're never going to get round to, are you?
Maybe one day, but the point being, I'm always reading model railway layout magazines for inspiration, and I kind of find that, yeah, maybe I never will start it, but I still love looking at what people have done, and you can only get that by looking at the magazines, and you get so many different ideas, and just it's a joy to do and a joy to read. Readley helps us with that, and I can go over all these back issues.
I, however, love my family tree and genealogy.
Which is kind of easy with a name like ours, right?
It is, but that's not completely the point of the magazines that you can get on Readly. You get the latest news, tips, tricks, all the things that you can find out to research your information.
So if you like the sound of Readly and you'd like to sign up, use our link in the doobly-doo below, because that will get you 2 months completely free of charge. And of course, after that, it's only $7.99 a month.
And you can cancel whenever you like.
Okay, should we go and look at the rest of this canal, including the really quirky bits?
Yes.
So they wanted to connect the Peak District's industry with the rest of the canal network. The cotton mills, the lead, the limestone, the coal. So they got involved a number of local influentials, and all of a sudden overnight the Erewash Canal resistance just disappeared, only to be replaced by another threat to the canal's entire existence. Okay, Rebecca, let's talk tunnels, because the main part of this video is about the really unique feature on one of the tunnels that are on the canal. We've yet to get to a tunnel.
Hold on. You haven't done the other bit. You said about there being another threat to the tunnels. No, canals.
The next threat was the age-old argument of water, the resource that was the Derwent, because when they drew up the plans for this, they declared that the Derwent would feed the canal, the Cromford Canal. Now you can imagine all the mill owners downstream on the Derwent were getting a bit antsy. William Jessup and Benjamin Outram spent the best part of a year measuring water flows. Now what they decided after that year is they would need a big feeder pond, at least one feeder pond. And they said, what we'll do, there's enough water coming from the Derwent, but we'll also top it up every Sunday thereafter using water from the Derwent. We will top up the reservoir, I guess, from the Derwent every single Sunday when the mills weren't working. And they measured that over the course of a year, and that would become instrumental in getting parliamentary approval through. They showed all the science behind it, which is great. So success, on with the canal. So the first tunnel on this route, and it's surprising they didn't need more, was the Gregory tunnel, 76 yards long. So in we go, the 76-yard Gregory tunnel, and it's not often we get a towpath within the tunnel, but this was built quite wide. Now looking at the roof and the structure, it's bowed in all kinds of places. We're going to meet some people coming through, it looks. Yeah, absolutely love that design. That epitomises canal design. When we looked at the Lapel Tunnel on the Dudley No. 2 canal, the Lapel Tunnel, which is like 2 miles long, had exactly the same design. That's very, very classic canal design, where you had a tunnel and then above it you just had sheer kind of brickwork. Yeah, brickwork above it. So if you saw that sketchy shot looking through the fence where the skip is, you'll see that's exactly the spot where the tunnel went in on this western side. Right, so we've come to the conclusion it's here, under here, but buried. So I think the portal's here. There's nothing else here other than vegetation. I think it's been buried on account that there's obviously a industrial estate just the other side where the other portal would have been, so they just buried the whole lot, which is a bit of a shame, but it happens. Onwards to the next tunnel. We didn't plan that very well, did we? Was I supposed to walk? I don't know. Onwards to the next tunnel. So how's your day, Rebecca?
Not as warm as it was, but it's still warm,
Yeah.
and we've got trousers on. It's a bit...
Yeah, we underestimated today how warm it was. 21 degrees. It's been like 29 the last week. So we put trousers on and leggings and stuff.
Yeah.
We're now near Ripley, and that is about today's main event. That's going to tell us about the main event, which is the Buttery Tunnel, 2,966 yards long. So nearly 3 kilometres, which is massive.
That is huge.
It's, what's that, like 1.7 miles or something?
I'm not very good with that.
No, right. But either way, very long. We carried on our journey towards the tunnel, up and over the vast embankment carrying the A38 slip road which obliterated any chance of a canal revival here. Eventually, the site of the portal. It wasn't an easy walk on this last stretch, I can tell you, but in trying to uncover some of the mysteries that lay ahead, it was well worth it. So we found the western portal of Buttery Tunnel just down there. We're going to have a look in a second. Now behind me you'll note the massive embankment, and that's the more recent dual carriageway, the A38. Prior to that you had the Midland Railway Company had built a railway on top of here too. So the tunnel has actually been extended twice since its closure, which is very curious. Subsequently, the portal we're going to see just down here isn't the original, but nevertheless it's still a portal to that tunnel, which is over 1.7 miles long. Let's go and have a look. As we walked down the steps to the portal, we became aware that it was possibly one of the most unpleasant sites we have visited on our travels. Biggest concern, I've got waders in my bag. Biggest concern is if you have a look at the colour of the water, there's a sewage farm, an outlet, just over there. Now, I don't think they're allowed to go into courses like this, but it's probably not a river course. But I don't want to go in there. Get my waders, do you agree, Rebecca?
No, I wouldn't.
I mean, look at the colour of it. That's really disappointing. Anyway, the story goes, if you were to go in there and go another 800 to 900 yards, you'd find something which is unique. Now that unique thing is a wharf inside a canal tunnel. They carved out, they built adits in different directions, and those adits went to shafts directly above Butterley Works. So we'll show you the Butterley Works in a bit, and we'll show you where those shafts would have come out, and they directly lifted up and down. Now many of you will say that's not unique, and there is a good reason for that, but it is actually unique in its design. So there's 4 or 5 other examples which we could give you where there is a wharf underneath. But all those other examples, the canal tunnel was built for the purpose of the wharf. This canal tunnel was built 3,000 yards long, not for the purpose of the wharf. The wharf was added thereafter for the Butterley Works. Then there was another quirk to try and look for here. You will recall that we talked about the reservoir being refilled every Sunday from the Derwent. Then throughout the week the canal could be refilled from the reservoir without disturbing the Derwent and the mills that used its water. We had read that there was a tunnel that did this job. Then it went from the Butterley Reservoir down the hill underground towards the western portal of the tunnel where it fed the canal. So we spent quite a bit of time thinking that the brook or the leat adjacent to the tunnel here was part of that system. So this is it. So the Butterley Reservoir at the top there was filled every Sunday, and throughout the week the Butterley Reservoir would use this leat, this adit and tunnel from the reservoir down to here to refill the canal, and therefore not upset the mill owners. When we went up to the reservoir itself, we found what we thought was the upper workings of this system, this tunnel down to the other tunnel to feed the canal. A leat yet again coming from the back of the middle section of this reservoir. After much searching around here, this didn't quite add up. Even with a weir here, it didn't seem to be much, well, it didn't seem to give much control over the water outlet. It did indeed turn out to just be an overflow for the reservoir. So what of this mysterious tunnel, this canal feeder? What of this system to help feed and fill the canal with water from this reservoir? Where was it? Well, by chance, this happened. So we came up from the western portal of the Butterley Tunnel, which kind of just goes across the south side of this reservoir just back there. Now obviously this was built to, whoa, what's down there?
I don't know.
Let's have a look. Yeah?
Okay.
This is what looks like some kind of underground tunnel underneath the reservoir almost. How curious is this? So as you gathered, at the time we didn't know what we were looking at here. Trying to peek in over the doorway was close to impossible, so forgive the shots here. But it turned out that this was actually the doorway to the valve for the reservoir and this underground tunnel that fed the canal. Learning this after we had found this secret room under the reservoir was really quite exciting. Can't tell where that goes because there's such a small gap trying to take a photo through. It's at least 20 or 30 feet, and that's as far as you can see. I'll have a look at the camera later and see those photos. So on our final stop of the day to the eastern portal, we had no idea if it was visible and what state it would be in. A quick pick of a shaft along the top, one of 4 or 5 retained for ventilation, and we arrived at the eastern portal. Last bit of the day for us because we're shattered. It's nearly 5 o'clock. We started at 9 o'clock, 7:30 this morning from the Crompton Wharf, and we're now only just the other side of the Butterley tunnel. And there's loads more to explore. The southern branch carries on going to the Earwash Canal, if that's how you pronounce it. But our journey is going to end at the eastern portal to the Butterley tunnel. So this was my last chance to grab a decent picture from inside the Butterley tunnel, the famous tunnel, and we're now on the eastern portal. Could I make it? Could I get a picture on the inside? Here is a view from above. Now you can't go through the canal, so I tried up and over the top, but the sluice gates here put pay to that route too. Sadly, I think this is going to be a boat trip if you ever could get to this. Maybe you could get across in the winter, but for now it was beyond my energy level after such a long day. So this has been the first arm, the arm from Cromford Wharf down to the Butterley tunnel, and hopefully we've given you a little bit of a different story as ever of a canal that had a wharf halfway through its tunnel.
Yeah.
And you know, the plight of the usual bunch, the Benjamin Outram and the William Jessup building these canals, the height of their technology. Big fish?
No.
Duck.
Duck.
Lots of ducks today. It's been a pleasure having you along, people, so do join us each week. Do click the subscribe, because trust me, if you look at the stats, I reckon on a normal video 40% of you are already subscribed. Yep. 60% aren't subscribed, so do us a favour, click the subscribe button and stick around, watch more of our videos, because we're here all the time, we're not going anywhere. Haha.
Or are we?
Or are we? No, we're not. Are we?
We kind of are, because I mean, otherwise what's the point of the channel? Our channel is us going places.
Oh, good point. I mean, we're not going away from the channel.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, right. Goodbye. See you next week.